Hi everyone, Jim Wright with Toro. Today's segment we're going to discuss the arc adjustment capabilities of the Toro Infinity Series Sprinkler and Flex, and in comparison to the Rainbird 751. So for this demonstration, again, we have a sprinkler that will be pressurized and operating. We will have the Rainbird sprinkler that we'll put on in just a bit. We have the manual selector tool for the Rainbird sprinkler, manual selector tool for Toro, the riser pull-up tool, a slotted screwdriver, and then our riser hold-up tool. Now, the benefit that we want to make here is, again, the flexibility of the Toro sprinkler in comparison to the Rainbird, and the efficiencies gained by the labor workforce. So with that, what we're going to do here, the sprinkler would be in its normal retracted position, ready to be adjusted. And with the Toro sprinklers, I can walk up with my riser pull-up tool and the hold-up feature, pull up the riser, install the hold-up tool into its proper position, and then if we look closely, we can see that the arc adjustment band, the gray adjustment band, has indicators, and there's a small arrowhead on the back of the nozzle base aligned with the back nozzle that quickly I can tell what the arc is currently set to on the sprinkler. So I already know at a glance that this sprinkler is set at about 90 degrees. There's my left arc position, and there's my right arc position. So when I'm initially setting up the arc adjustment for the Toro sprinkler, I'm going to pull up that riser again, and the Toro product has a ratcheting riser feature that allows me to position the riser at any place within the body without having to remove it. So the left watering arc is fixed, so I bring the nozzle base over to the left stop position. If this is not in the desired left stop position, I can rotate it around to the desired left position, and now my right has moved as well. So there's my left, and now there's my right. Now if I want to increase the watering arc, if we look closely, there is a heavily serrated area on that gray band. If I push in and turn the nozzle base the number of degrees I want to add clockwise, it's now pointing in this direction. My left remained the same, and my right position has now moved to the point where I had adjusted it to. Now, if I want to decrease the arc, again, I push in on that heavy serrated area, I turn it counterclockwise, the number of degrees I want to remove, and now my right position has changed to conform with that adjustment. So that's the part circle adjustment on the Toro sprinkler. Again, the ability to ratchet the riser to any position within the body without any disassembly, hold the gray band, turn the nozzle base clockwise to add arc, counterclockwise to decrease arc, and the ratio is 1:1. The amount that I turn the nozzle base is the amount that's either being added or subtracted from the existing arc. All right, so we're going to turn the Toro sprinkler on and demonstrate being able to move it side to side with the water on. And I currently have this adjusted to a 90-degree arc position. And as you can see, it's now rotating in the clockwise direction. I can go up to the sprinkler now and rotate this side to side to identify the right and then the left arc points. Now with the Toro sprinklers, we also have a feature called nozzle base clutching that allows me to move this in either direction regardless of the direction it's turning, or I can also hold it to do hot spot watering without having to drag out a hose and find a quick coupler. But what we really want to look at here is being able to move side to side, see the arc position, and if you visualize where this is at, There is the left position. The right position is just above that bolt. When it's in the automatic mode running on its own, you're going to see how much more accurate that placement is doing the dry adjust compared to the actual wet adjust. I'm going to advance it a little bit to save a little time. There it stopped. I'll advance it towards the right. And remember, it was right about at the end of that bolt. And there it stopped. So you can see the accuracy of doing the manual adjust to determine the left and right stops is very close, if not exactly the same as that while it's in normal operation. Now in comparison, we're going to look at the Rainbird 751 part circle sprinkler. And the first thing you'll notice, again, there is no pull-up feature that would enable you to look and lift that riser up out of the body to determine what the arc setting is. And there are no graphic indications of what the arc is currently set to. Looking a little closer, there are two arc adjustments on the top of the cap. One is adjusting the arc in a part circle mode, and the other allows you to adjust to full circle mode. And we'll demonstrate how those happen in just a moment. Now, if I want to determine what the arc is currently set to, my two options are I either turn the sprinkler on and then I can grab the nozzle base and move it back and forth and see what the arc is set to, or I would take the snap ring out, take the riser out, and now at that point I can turn the nozzle base to see what my arc settings are. Okay. All right, to simplify matters, I've turned the sprinkler on so that I could determine what the arc setting was right now. And so there's my right stop position, and there's my left stop position. Now, if that left stop is not where I intended it to be, if I wanted to move it over like I did by ratcheting the Toro riser, again, I physically have to disassemble the sprinkler and change the position of the riser inside the body. I'll demonstrate that. All right, so we've turned the water off. We know that our left position was previously about here. If we want to move it over to this position, I would have to, again, remove that snap ring. Remove the riser. Find the left point, and now I'm going to position this in the body so that the left arc position is where I intend it to be. So now I can drop it into the body, lining up these ribs. Now, just a point with this. The amount of distance between those ribs on the Rainbird sprinkler is about 16 degrees. So if you are looking to have a very fine left arc position, the finest that you can make that adjustment is 16 degrees. On the Toro ratcheting riser, every ratchet position is 2 degrees. So you can get those ends of arc positions much finer on the Toro sprinkler. I'm going to turn the water back on. All right, so if I need to change the left arc position in the Rainbird 751, the first thing I need to do is remove the snap ring from the top, pull the riser out of the body, manually advance the nozzle base. There's my right stop position. There's my left stop position. I now have to position this in the body to get that left position where I wanted it to be. Now, one other item to point out is the distance, the refinement of the arc adjustment for the left stop is basically 16 degrees between those 2 points. On the Toro ratcheting riser, without having to take it out of the body, the arc adjustment refinement is 2 degrees. So 2 degrees for Toro, 16 degrees for Rainbird. So if you're really looking to get that left arc position refined, Toro is going to provide a much better option. So that's going to drop down into the body now. I've lined up that left fixed watering border. And now I've dropped that into place. Now we're going to turn the water back on and set the right side of the watering border. All right, so we've turned the sprinkler back on. So now we have the sprinkler set up. The left watering border, as you recall, is aligned just about parallel with this framework. So it's going to rotate around and trip in just a moment. But it appears that it has come significantly beyond that left watering border that I had fixed into position. So I may need to take this back apart, realign, drop it back in to get that left position improved. So the right side of the watering border now, it's stopping right here when I manually advance. If I let it automatically run to the trip position, you'll see that it goes significantly beyond that point. So that's probably another 10 degrees or so that I would have to come back and make an adjustment, refinement to get that edge cleaner. So there's a lot more back and forth to get those edges where you intend them to be. Now the actual arc adjustment is done on the top of the sprinkler, and the adjustment here requires multiple turns to change the arc. So when we're on the A side of the watering arc, there are icons on the top of the cap that shows increased direction and decreased direction. When I'm on the A side of the watering arc, as I make the adjustments, it is accurate to the icons on the top. So right now, there's my right side, there's my left side. If I want to increase the right watering border, I turn the screw counterclockwise. One full turn of the screw is equal to about 40 degrees of arc change. Remember that on the Toro, as I'm turning the nozzle base, it's 1-to-1. The amount I turn is the amount I get. On the Rainbird adjustment, one full turn of the screw would add 40 degrees to the arc adjustment. And as you can see now, it is moving beyond the previous arc position and will stop about 40 degrees further out. There it is. That's the new stop point. Okay, so Toro 1-to-1. The amount you move the nozzle base is the amount of arc change you get. On the Rainbird, one full turn of the screw is equal to 40 degrees of arc change. So it's very difficult to know how much you're really needing to move it. So there's a lot more back and forth to get that right edge refinement. Next step is to show the means of adjusting the Toro part circle sprinkler to a true full circle mode. And that is done by, again, lifting up the riser, holding the gray band at the heavy serrations, and turning the nozzle base fully clockwise position. And now, when the sprinkler runs, it's going to be in a true unidirectional direction until you change it back to the part circle mode. The thing with the Toro Sprinkler is it is always going to rotate in the clockwise position. Even if the nozzle is currently rotating counterclockwise, when it first activates, it will rotate clockwise until it trips, or counterclockwise until it trips, and then we'll begin the clockwise rotation for the remainder of the operating time. All right, if I want to make the sprinkler from part circle to full circle, that is done by making the white adjustment, turning it from the part circle position to the full circle position. Now at that point, the sprinkler is going to become a true full circle, but it will continue rotating in the direction that it was turning when I made the change from part to full. If you recall on the Toro Sprinkler, when I make it a full circle, it potentially could go counterclockwise, stop, but then returns to full circle mode in the true full clockwise position. With Rainbird, depending on the direction that it's turning, when you put it in clockwise, or when you put it into full circle, some sprinklers might rotate clockwise, some might rotate counterclockwise. So that can be a bit confusing at times. I'm going to put this back into the part circle mode. So Rainbird talks about their A and B capabilities of their part circle sprinklers. This is very easily achieved and actually much faster to do on the Toro Sprinkler. So if right now my sprinkler is adjusted to about a 90-degree arc, and there's the right position and there's the left position, that would be referred to as the primary watering arc, or the A side. The B side is the rest of that full circle. So if I've got this set at 90, the B side would consist of the 270 degrees behind it. So on the Toro Sprinkler, to achieve that, I would ratchet the riser around to align the left watering border with the previous right watering border, push in, adjust the right side, and now the sprinkler is going to be watering on the B half of the watering border. So very simple. Ratchet it around, adjust the arc, adjustment is done. All right, so the A and B part circle adjustment on the Rainbird sprinkler is accomplished a little differently. The first thing you need to do is to turn the sprinkler on, and I'm going to check my arc setting now is between those 2 points on the A side. If I want to go to the B side of the watering arc, I would rotate this around, change it to full circle, let me do this again. Put it into the full circle mode, then advance it beyond the previous right stop, and then return it to the part circle mode. Now the sprinkler is going to be going on the B side of the watering arc. So the disadvantages of the A and B as performed with the Rainbird 751, number one, you have to turn the water on to make the adjustments. It's a lot more time consuming. You have to rotate the nozzle around, put it to the full circle mode, allow it to go beyond the previous stop point, and then put it back into the part circle mode. Once it's on the B side of the watering arc, all of the adjustments are now backwards. So instead of it being a left fixed position, it is the right fixed position of the watering arc. And instead of the direction of the icons on the cap, where adding arc is counterclockwise, decreasing arc is clockwise, those reverse as well. So it gets a lot more confusing once you're on the B side when you're trying to refine the arc position. And that's it.